Oh, it's backwards. It says nice fucking model. Okay, so I'm standing in my hallway next to the big Beetlejuice painting that Nerd Chamber gave me. Go check out Nerd Chamber. They also did the really cool Cheddar Goblin shirt that I've worn a couple times. All right, so obviously I'm standing here because I want to talk about Beetlejuice. Now I know there is a Beetlejuice 2 that is coming out. All right, and this has been talked about for like 20 something years, and I never thought it was going to happen actually. But and then there's all those people he went to high school with will share a really obviously photoshopped movie poster of Beetlejuice 2, and they'll be like, see, no, it's coming out. And I'll go, oh, honey. All right, so there is a Beetlejuice 2 that's actually coming out with Jenna Ortega as Winona Ryder's daughter. Tim Burton is back to direct. Danny Elfman back to do the score. Michael Keaton back. Keaton came back and played Batman again, and now he's back as Beetlejuice. He's having his career resurgence after, well, I guess was it Birdman was probably his big resurgence. If I was him, I'd leave the post-credit scene in Morbius off your resume. But I have my own idea of how a sequel to The Ghost with the Most should go. This Beetlejuice is one of my favorite movies ever. I genuinely miss the kind of the kind of spark that a Tim Burton movie had back then. So the biggest thing about it was have to be this has to almost have an indie film vibe to it. Now I don't know the plot to this new one other than Winona Ryder's daughter is Jenna Ortega. That's all I know. So I'm gonna do mine, but my Beetlejuice is going to be a mixture of Glengarry Glen Ross and how Stella got her groove back. Now how do those two things fit together? I'll explain. So at the end of Beetlejuice, he's got a shrunken head and he's in the waiting room. So it would pick up with that 30 some odd years later, and he's using it now as a marketing tool. He's become the ghost with the most to all of the afterlife. Him coming back from the land of the living has made him a really popular motivational speaker. Basically, all the grifting that he did in the first one and talking about, this is why I don't do shows 2 times a day. It's just too much, and then people got to sign autographs and all this kind of stuff. Now he is that guy in the afterworld, and the entire movie would pretty much take place in the afterlife. So it would be more akin to the animated series, which I fucking love, the Beetlejuice cartoon, and I had all the toys too. They were pretty awesome. Because then you could introduce like puppets and miniatures, and it wouldn't just be like a CGI diarrhea fest like the last few Tim Burton movies. Alice in Wonderland is one of the ugliest movies that I've ever seen in my entire life. And Dumbo, so I need him to go back to kind of that kind of indie fun, kind of, gothic, funhouse, carnival ride kind of vibe. So he's in the afterworld, and he's the man, and he's now running a kind of school for other, would-be poltergeists. But in the last few years, he has an apprentice who has kind of begun to outshine him. And this apprentice is now getting more of the poltergeist jobs that Beetlejuice used to get, and he's not really part of the scene anymore. So Beetlejuice basically feels like he's losing his mojo, his ghost mojo, and he finally realizes that he's kind of a joke to a lot of people. And I would play it up very much like, he's kind of stuck in almost the 80s almost. You'd have like a character in a movie that still has like that. He's Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. He's talking about the time that he almost married this human woman and almost took over the human world. He's been telling the same story for 20 some years, and he's kind of a joke to people. And now you have this new cool woman who's it would have to be a woman, obviously, because we're playing, everything has to. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you just know Hollywood executives, it's going to be a woman. So she's kind of become the new hotness in the ghost world, and he's like very beaten down by this. And then he goes on a haunt to show that he still got it, and just completely embarrasses himself. So he basically goes back to the last person who, he actually caused like real chaos in their life, and that's Lydia. And Lydia has a daughter now, and that could be Jenna Ortega. I honestly would make Jenna Ortega the ghost woman, but she's got to be Lydia's daughter. So basically, he's been out of the human world for so long that he basically needs her to kind of Stella got her groove back kind of vibe to make him scary again, so that he can go back and kind of show that he still got it, that he's still the ghost with the most. And then you'd have a whole subplot about like, there's some kind of shady goings on with this new ghost. It's actually trying to, create some kind of dimensional cross rift to bring the dead, like the bad guy dead, into the human world. And, Beetlejuice has to begrudgingly stop it, but it's really, he's doing it in a very self-serving way in order to, bring himself back as this big time ghost. You can do a lot of fun gags with it, and you can introduce a lot of new characters, and you don't have to go so nostalgia heavy. I think that if you were going to do nostalgia in it, it has to be coming from him. Like, he wants everyone just to remember that very short period of time. I don't know, that could be really fun. And then you could play more into like the Beetlejuice like ads that he did in the first one, like the TV show ad and the print ads and stuff like that. But I think that it would be funny if Lydia is now running the kind of ghost museum amusement park that they were going to build in the first one, when they found out that the house was haunted. I'd bring back Catherine O'Hara. Obviously, we're not going to bring back the dad because he had some problems in the last few years. I think it could be fun. I think that an older, kind of more broken version of Beetlejuice would be really, really funny. And he's been away from the human world for so long that he doesn't know the references and what's scary and what works anymore. You could just have a lot of tough times where he just it's like cringe comedy, where he just fails miserably at things, and it's just more like amusing than anything, and it starts to diminish the power of ghosts and goblins and monsters because this dude's out here fumbling over himself. So he basically needs Lydia and her daughter to take care of this, and then Lydia has never really been truthful with her daughter about the whole Beetlejuice situation, and now you have this like creepy, couple 100-year-old ghost man who's kind of macking on her, her teenage daughter. I don't know how old is Jenna Ortega. She's in her 20s. But you could just kind of like reverse a lot of the roles from the first one, and then what you would introduce at the end is that Beetlejuice had a daughter that he didn't know about. And that would be your introduction to the next one, is like, now that he's reclaimed his spot, and he's reset the boundary between the living and the dead. Now he has to realizes that he has a daughter from one of his many sleazy conquests over the years. And I don't know, I think that could be a fun way to do Beetlejuice as a mixture of, like I said, Glengarry Glen Ross, coffee is for haunters. And how Stella got her groove back, and you could have like a ghostly Rocky training montage of him trying to get back into ghosting. But more than anything, it would just be a chance for Tim Burton to go kind of back to that like kind of that kind of fiendish, kooky, fun, slightly naughty, PG-13, but still with a nice fucking model. So yeah, that's my idea for if I was given a Beetlejuice 2. I think you could have a lot of fun with it in a kind of satirical way without it being just a constant member berries kind of thing. And I think that any time that it would be reminding you of anything, it would be coming from Beetlejuice, like I said, because he's so stuck in the good times that he's become like a parody of himself, and that's allowed this other guy or girl to rise up the ranks and to take his mantle, and it's about getting old and I don't know, it could be fun. So Tim Burton, call me. I forget about anything I said about Alice in Wonderland. I think Alice in Wonderland was magical. It was a magical experience for everyone that we should all cherish. Sha-la-la. All right, that's Renewt for this week. I was driving and I got home from work and I realized that I forgot cat food, and then there was no parking outside. So I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I'll do a Renewt." So when I got home, the first thing I saw was this. So I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna make it about Beetlejuice." I'm just making shit up off the top of my head. So let me know what you think about this idea, or what are some other ones you'd like to see me do. Um, I don't know. But we'll see what their Beetlejuice 2 is. I'm interested to see it. I still have faith that Tim Burton can pull himself back together after the last few years. It seems like he's pretty fed up with Disney and Warner Brothers and stuff, and he just wants to kind of get back to what he was doing. So, give me more shit like Ed Wood or Vincent or Beetlejuice, the good old shit. So yeah, that's it. Say Renewt 3 times and I come.